Begin the subcommittee's first hearing of the 119th Congress. I'd like to introduce myself. Derrick Van Orden. I think I speak loud enough without that microphone, just figured that out. I'm a retired Navy SEAL Senior Chief. I'm the longest serving enlisted member of the military to ever be elected to Congress. I've used every educational program that the Department of Defense offers, including our VRNE, and I use the GI Bill to help educate my children. I get all my health care through the VA. I love the VA. I love the folks that give me my medical care. Welcome, ma'am. Oh, sorry. Good morning. I love our healthcare providers. I love the folks that have helped me get my education. And what I despise about the VA is the bureaucracy. And we waste billions and billions of dollars supporting the bureaucracy of the VA. And it is my intent to stop that. Every single dollar that is wastefully spent is one that doesn't go to a veteran, either their health care or their education or our Gold Star families, the benefits that they have earned by sacrificing their family. And essentially, this is Groundhog Day. Mr. Barrett chaired a subcommittee yesterday. It was a closed session, so I won't describe it in detail, but essentially what we've identified, again, is billions and billions and billions of dollars worth of waste that the VA is responsible for through either inadequate or no planning at all. And that's got to stop. I would be remiss not to mention my great friend, Mike, who is no longer the ranking member. He's moved on to appropriations. I don't know why you'd want to go there, but I'd like to welcome Mr. Pappas. We had a great meeting in private discussing your priorities, which would be veterans homelessness, and we'll be going to a field hearing to your district. You haven't heard this yet, but this is not a bipartisan committee. This is a nonpartisan committee. And we started that. Mike and I had a great relationship, and I expect the same. I can't believe Morgan's back. Good to see him. Mr. Barrett, and ma'am, it's so wonderful to have you here. So I want to make sure that we follow through with some things that we started in 118th. So from the Senator Elizabeth Dole 21st Century Veterans Healthcare and Benefits Improvement Act, we're able to pass improvements to education benefits, homelessness prevention benefits, USERA, and reduce the red tape of the VA. We'll hear from the VA today. We have lots more to do to this, and I want to make sure that we are going to refocus the Veterans Affairs Administration on veterans and not the Veterans Affairs Administration. We're going to talk about state of education services and the Department of Veterans Affairs. Since 2020, the number of employees at the education services at VA's headquarters in DC has nearly doubled, growing from 102 to 185 in 2024. So I want to say it again, the headquarters staff has nearly doubled, but the actual budget has only increased it went from $1.5 billion to $12.1 billion, and that is a tremendous amount of money. So if we're spending all this money and we're increasing the bureaucracy and not sending that to veterans benefits, that is a problem. So I swear to God, this is like Groundhog Day. I'm just going to bulletize some things here so that everybody understands for the record. So we have seen this in this hearing room. Contract and oversight mistakes with the digital GI Bill to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. VA bureaucrats going rogue with risk-based surveys leading to schools backing out from accepting the GI Bill. So the antithesis of what the VA is supposed to be doing, they're actually chasing veterans away from getting educated. An absolutely foolish interpretation of a Supreme Court case that will add nearly $10 billion to the deficit over the next decade and not help anybody. A VA proposing a rule to the Federal Registry using the wrong form, causing schools to panic. Paperwork. Government employees reinterpreting congressional law and kicking out religious schools from our GI Bill. Unacceptable. Former head of education services giving out his contact information to school certifying officials because they had so many communications issues that needed to be solved. And the list just goes on and on and on and on and on. And it's going to stop. Like, this is going to stop. I'm very excited to have a new secretary of the Veterans Affairs. Dennis was a friend of mine. I think he was undermined and subverted by a lot of people sitting over here, permanent bureaucrats. I firmly believe that. Dennis wanted to do what was right, and his feet were knocked out from underneath him by the permanent ruling class in Washington, D.C., and those are not elected officials. And it's going to stop. And we're going to do everything we can to make sure that every single dollar that is allocated by this Congress goes to help a veteran, not a bureaucrat. And so help me God, that is my sole intent. And if I don't know how I could be more clear. So, Mr. Pappas, that's how this is going to go. And I yield to the ranking member for any comments you may have, sir. Themselves and the third party. This just sounds so silly, doesn't it? Mr. Smith, where is your predecessor?
Sir, Senior Executive Service is designed as a flexible.
Just tell me where he's at.
He's been reassigned to another business line.
Why would you suppose that is, Mr. Smith? The VA moves at its own speed. So I ask unanimous consent that this, from April 1st, 2023, this press release from the Department of Veterans Affairs is entered into the record. Without objection, so ordered. Okay, budget cut proposals would hurt veterans. This is from April 21st. This is what you said, that our budget cuts were going to threaten medical care for veterans. Didn't happen. Undermine access to telehealth. As a matter of fact, we expanded it. That didn't happen. Worsen wait times for benefits. That didn't happen. Prevent construction on healthcare facilities and veterans need. That didn't happen. Fail to honor the memory of all veterans. We actually increased the budget by $81 million for our cemeteries overseas. So, cut housing for veterans? No. Increase food insecurity for veterans? No. Deprive veterans of mental health, substance abuse, and other health services? No. Eliminate job training and support homeless veterans? No. Okay, this is still on your website. Okay, enough of this trash. So when we're talking, look, the Trump administration has been in office for 3 weeks and 1 day. That is still on your website, and it is a pack of political lies. Enough. I'm sick of this garbage, man. So in 2020, there were 657,928 veterans used in education services. In 2024, there's over 900,000. Okay, that's a 39.7% increase in participants, and yet you have an 81.4% increase in your employees that are servicing this stuff, with a 5% increase in funding. So the math is not mathing, sir. You've bloated the bureaucracy and actually shrunk the ability of veterans to get education benefits. So you've done that. I know you've been in office for a week, and there's a reason your predecessor's no longer sitting there, because of rampant failure. It's just bad. You said you're taking immediate action to correct these things. What is a specific example of an immediate action that you've taken, Mr. Smith, to correct these deficiencies? Just one.
Sir, I'm very interested in improving.
All right, stop. No. That's not it. No. Maybe you're not catching on. We're not going to do this any longer. I'll be in office for at least a year and a half or whatever it is left, and I don't care. I honest to God don't care if I'm sitting in this chair 2 years from now. I do care if you're sitting in that chair 2 minutes from now. You've mentioned accountability 4 times in your oral testimony. What does accountability mean to you?
Sir, we need to improve our ability to manage risk, the schedule, scope, and cost.
Are you aware of a single bureaucrat in the VA being fired for poor performance? One. Are you aware of one?
There are individuals that are terminated, sir. I can't begin to tell you the reason.
How many guys have been laid off or gals have been laid off for abject failure? Yeah?
I would have to get some information from our HR providers.
Well, please do. So as a member of Congress, it is not my job to fire people in the executive branch. It's just not my function. I'm asking you if you're aware of people that have been terminated for poor performance. And that's just...
Yes.
That is not my job. Okay, good. And I would like to correct Mr. Amade. So it didn't blow up from $460 million to $960 million. It actually started, the bid that you guys put in was $25 million. $25 million when you could have just used the Pell Grant process to do the electronic GI Bill. But you put in a bid for $25 million. It is now $960 million, and I still don't think it's going to be done in time. My time has expired. I know that Mr. Pappas would like to do a second round of questioning, so the chair now recognizes Mr. Pappas. Back. So I just want to, we did have this hearing yesterday with Mr. Barrett, and do you now have a schedule for the digital GI Bill? Do you have a schedule? Like, boom, we're doing it on this day.
My understanding is that, yes, we've developed an integrated master schedule.
Do we have the integrated master schedule? Anybody? You got it? Do you have one? Nope. Okay, so if you have one, it would be great if you shared it with us because we have to fund that thing. And if we don't have it and you did it, and we've been asking for a year or so for this, that's a problem. Now, Mr. Smith, I understand you've been in this job for a week. And so, believe it or not, you're getting some grace from this committee. And that stops after this committee hearing. So the Veterans Affairs Administration is responsible for blowing through billions of dollars. To say that the VA administration spends money like a drunken sailor is not accurate, because when a drunken sailor runs out of money, he goes back to the ship. And we're not the ship anymore, pal. I hope that's really clear with everybody here. I believe that we have found common ground, Mr. Pappas. We are going to approach the executive branch, and I think it would make more sense if people return to their previous disposition prior to COVID. So if we have folks that were working remotely at this call center, and it's an old grocery store, if they weren't physically located in that building, then I don't know how, if they return to work, that would be beneficial. And they're you said 500? Like 500 desks short in IT equipment. So we will take that for action, because that just doesn't make sense to me. And I think it's pretty clear. I mean, we're now under the Trump administration. I speak to you the same way I did people under the Biden administration. And I just don't care what political party you're affiliated with. I don't care. This makes sense. It appears to make sense. And so we'll take that for action, sir. Yeah. Okay. Mr. Pappas, do you have any closing comments? Oh, sorry, wait. The chair now recognizes the ranking member for any closing comments he may or may not have.
Thank you to our witnesses. And look, I've served on this committee for 6 years. This is my 4th term now. I've served during presidents' administrations of both parties, and I think the commitment has to be the same to provide the oversight that Congress is required to do. And at the end of the day, I know that everyone around this table shares the same commitment to our nation's veterans. We may come at it from different perspectives from time to time, but I really join you in trying to seek that common ground and trying to seek better outcomes for veterans. At the end of the day, that's how our success is going to be measured here on this subcommittee and on the full committee, and I really look forward to the work ahead. So thank you.
The gentleman yields back. I don't really have closing comments other than the fact that I would like to thank Ranking Member Pappas and everybody for participating in today's hearing. I ask unanimous consent that all members have 5 legislative days to revise and extend their remarks and include extraneous materials, and without objection, so ordered. This hearing is now adjourned.